gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting episode of MovieByte podcast. This is Ruben, your host, and with me, my brother in arms, The Russian. How you doing, bro?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Want to just say big appreciation to everybody who's listening, everybody who's watching, everybody who gives us feedback. Usually not on our comments, but mainly people in person. It's been very surprising to me the warmth and the welcoming that we get from our small community. But hey, we small but we strong. And welcome to our episode 6, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
7.
6. Should be 6.
6.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Today we're gonna be talking about a movie which made quite a splash when it came out. The director is Luc Besson, who probably most of you know for his work on Fifth Element, which was the iconic movie when it came out. But I believe his true mark as a box office phenomenon was left when he created Taken. I think that's the movie that most people will know him outside of Europe. What are your take on that? How you?
Yeah, just so you know, and whoever's listening, he did not direct Taken. He wrote the story and the concept of it. He produced it, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you. His most notable work will be for the United States, box office moviegoers, is The Fifth Element, which premiered in 1997 in summer. It turned out to be a very good hit. He also directed Lucy, which turned out to be a very successful hit during 2013, I think, or 14, with Scarlett Johansson. And then
I have a different opinion about that movie.
I don't like Lucy either.
Yeah. And Valerian
was awful.
It was okay. It was to watch it on Prime, where I seen it for free.
Yeah,
it was okay. A little bit try hard, but yeah, I would definitely go back to La Femme and Nikita.
Yeah,
and I would definitely go to Leon.
Yeah, that's the thing about him. He went very mainstream with his latest projects. His last movie that he directed was Anna, which is like a model turned super spy,
which is
like a double agent.
Rehashed La Femme and Nikita for the 20th century. It has one great scene. I'll give you this. In that movie, there's one restaurant scene which is phenomenal. Like John Wick could be jealous of that scene. But, for the hour and 45-minute movie, you cannot really justify that existence. But going back to what turned out to be Léon the Professional, let's first kind of dwell into our cast. We have 3 superstars, and I will not be scared of the name superstars, because you have Jean Reno, who came out of nowhere to the main street. He did few projects before. Well, not few. He did a lot of projects before, but he was
in La Femme Nikita.
Yeah, and that's the role which inspired Luc Besson on writing the script, because when La Femme Nikita was done, the Jean Reno played a guy whose name was Victor, but his title, like in the movie, was the cleaner. He was the guy responsible for when the things needs to be cleaned. The hitman who his pure job is mindlessly eliminating people, which, I mean, we just mentioned John Wick. Well, that's John Wick is cleaner, typical guy who just eliminates whatever number of people you put him on a contract for the mob. So that was essentially what Victor was in La Femme Nikita. And Luc Besson was like, well, wait a second. This character, the way how I created him, can actually have the story of his own. So that was the basis of the script. And obviously he wrote in the role for Natalie Portman, which originally could have went to Liv Tyler. She seemed too old at the age of 15. Christina Ricci was also considered. I don't have any information why she did not got the part, but Natalie Portman, I believe there was 2,000 contestants for this specific role, and that was her debut. That was her first performance. Her parents were against the role from the get-go. They did not understand why she chose it, and I guess we'll dwell into that. We'll go deeper. What was her, I guess, psyche behind? Because you're looking at I believe she was 11 or 12 years old.
She was 11 when she got cast, and when filming started, she was 12.
So, all things aside, it's a magnificent performance. Like, how you want to view this movie, whatever you on the loving side, on the hating side, it does not matter. If we look at the portion of the artistic performances, Natalie Portman gives her one of the best that she ever did. The only thing that I can even remotely consider to that, it was years later in Closer, and then the Black Swan. And after that, she tried with Jackie. She did Annihilation. Her latest Lucy was just unbearable. I wanted to scratch my eyes off when I watched that.
Wait, I mean Lucy.
Lucy in the Sky.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry.
That's the one that she plays like a cowboy or something like that?
No, it's
no. That's
plays
James
like an astronaut. She went to space, and then it's just. I'm sorry, I can't even rephrase what
I know which one you're talking about.
The only honorable mention I can bring into this mix is the Garden State, but I think that movie is just so well written, and the chemistry is there. It's just a very good, warm feeling, fuzzy movie.
Garden State's an amazing movie.
And yeah, absolutely. By the way, I've been watching Scrubs. You know, I'm giving it a go, little by little.
It grows on you.
It grows on you. And here she was chosen for the role. Again, her parents were not thrilled about it. The funny fact is that they only allowed Luc Besson to shoot her with 5 cigarettes. So in the movie, she was allowed only to hold the cigarette for 5 takes. She was never allowed to inhale it. And the stipulation for that was that in this role, Luc Besson had to write her quitting the smoking. And then we have one of the iconic actors.
One of the greatest actors alive.
Right.
Mr. Gary Oldman.
Who is, I still believe, very underappreciated. But he plays a villain to the T. I think that if people think Thanos was a great villain, they want to revisit The Professional, because you hate every single part of that character. Everything he stands for, it makes you, dislike him. But the charisma that he brings to the screen, it's undeniable. The power, the delivery, everything, how he portrays himself in that role is just, it's absolute. He's the absolute maniac. He's the absolute powerhouse, because he is God. Like, he is the law in this universe, in this created universe of New York City. He's a DEA, and nobody is gonna hold him accountable. Everything he does in this movie is technically unstoppable, and the only way that he gets stopped is by just the short straw. He just got very unlucky in his pursuit of revenge and tying the loose ends where he could have let it go. That's what led to his demise.
And his character his character Stansfield in the movie has been named in numerous lists, from like Empire to Entertainment Weekly to MSN, New York Times. Like, he's been on, his portrayal of his character has put him in like top 10 movie psychos, right, by MSN Movies, right? 50 most popular movie villains of all time on IMDb. So that's how powerful his character is in this movie. And he drives that story in that movie. He takes ownership of it. And it's just that one line, that entire movie, like when he's like, "Bring me everyone."
Right. You know how it was filmed, right?
Yeah.
So the thing what happened here was that they did multiple takes where he just says, "Bring me everybody," and he just wanted to get Luc Besson to laugh. So he got the sound guy. He's like, "Take off your headphones because I'm about to yell, so you don't get your ears popped out." And then he yelled this, "Bring me everybody," and that's the take which made it into the movie. And he's told on the multiple interviews that that's what people yell at him on the streets when they see him, in real life. So
it's amazing. And look, and Gary Oldman. No, this movie came out in 1994, and Gary Oldman had a very strong streak in the 90s, portraying very iconic roles and / villainous roles. You had him played Sid and Nancy, the front lead singer of Sex Pistols, right? Later on,
was he a bassist? I don't think he was. I think he was a bassist, if not mistaken. But you're right.
Yeah, you could be right. But yeah, he played Sid.
So just because I will forget, the hotel which they use for the New York shoots, that's the Chelsea Hotel where Sid Vicious actually kills his girlfriend. It's a real place. And that's where,
yeah, I read that. That's
it's crazy how how everything turns around. So Sid Vicious kills his girlfriend in the Chelsea Hotel, where Luc Besson films the movie, where Gary Oldman plays the villain, and his first breakthrough role was in Sid and Nancy.
Yeah, Sid and Nancy,
where he plays Sid. So,
but yeah, so Gary Oldman comes from like a whole lineup. So he played Beethoven in the 90s in Immortal Beloved. Which another scene in the movie that he improvises Beethoven dialogue, completely improvised. Another scene that's improvised in the movie is when he approaches, when you first introduced to Stansfield's character, he's listening to some like music with some headphones on. All right, and his henchman's like, "I don't want to disturb him because if I disturb him, he gets mad. Like, can you just like?" He's telling like the other guy like, who cut the cocaine, it's like, just tell me where the other 10% of the cocaine is. And the guy's like, I'm not lying to you. I don't know what you're talking about. So he gets Stansfield involved. And that's when the camera and all this thing, the camera's focusing on Gary Oldman on his back. You haven't seen his face. And then when he turns around and you make that close up and you're introduced to Gary Oldman for the first time in the movie, and he approaches the character played by Michael Kodalushi, I think his name is, and he starts sniffing him, like starting to sniff out the fear or sniff out the lying out of him.
Right.
And that whole scene is improvised, and you can see in the actor's face, on Michael Kodalushi's face, like the fear. And that's an authentic reaction because it was not scripted. He was not expecting Gary Oldman to come up to him and start sniffing him out of the blue.
Right.
So that reaction is authentic. That is real reaction, right? It's not scripted. It's not rehearsed. It's amazing that Gary Oldman's presence in that scene can create that on another actor. And
that's one thing I kind of wanted to peel away as we go in deeper into the layers of this movie. On the surface, it's a very basic story, right? We have we're rehashing the Lolita story, and we're putting the hitman with a lot of violence.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing new. It's been done thousands of times before, right? So on the surface, it's a very simple story. What first amazed me about, obviously not on the first go. On the first go, you're drawn to the violence, you're drawn to the friendship, you're drawn to the relationship, you're drawn to the protagonist, the antagonist, and the girl in the middle. Like that.
Before you continue, Michael Badalucco is the name of the actor that I was describing the previous thing. I got the last name wrong, but Michael Badalucco.
We got it right.
Mm-hmm.
we overall our sense.
Yeah.
If ever there will be, podcast sense somebody.
You never know. So yeah, so you're saying.
So to me, what Luc Besson allowed these three to do with his script is magnificent. He let them run the play. It's like when the bandits take over the ship and the captain just laughs, because through entire movie, first of all, the Natalie Portman, she improvised a lot of stuff, and it was her first go. I don't think even Luc Besson was taking this movie seriously when they filmed it, right? Because the movie was written in 30 days, right? The script was written in 30 days. It was shot in 60 days. The only reason that they shot it that quick is because he was working on Fifth Element, and due to scheduling problems with Bruce Willis's obvious, very busy schedule of making his blockbusters, he had to sit down, and while he had Gary Oldman also waiting because he appears plays the main role, also a main villain in Fifth Element. So they had some time to work together, and that's how they were collaborating on a $6 million budget, 30-day script, 60-day shoot. They just had fun. What brings me to Jean Reno character, where when he read the script, obviously he was like, this is a little bit risky. So he did not felt comfortable with the script. So he was like, listen, this is how I'm going to play the character. I'm going to play him very emotionally detached, very emotionally irresponsive. And I will also make him seem unintelligent and was just kind of like not really developed. Because when you look at his character, there's a backstory to it, and it erupts as the story lets us know, right? So this guy comes from Italy. I'm not sure if it was Sicily or not, but I'm convinced that it was a part of, obviously Sicily is a part of Italy. So his trauma went from having a girl who he loved when he was very young, and since his background did not compute with the background of this family where she was from, and yet she still snuck out and had some kind of relationship. We would not really explain of what kind of relationship, but they were technically in love, let's just say it that. And then she was murdered by her father, who was let go after 2 days in jail. And then Jean Reno character, he kills the father, and then he jumps the ship, and at the age of 19 he arrives to New York, where his father introduces him to Tony, and then Tony makes him in what we see now. So that being said, that's the background that we get throughout the movie of Leon, of his character. And obviously Jean Reno plays him as, in his own words to describe this, that he did not want anybody in the audience even have a single doubt that he could take any sexual advance towards Mathilda. That was his pure way of how he's gonna play this role. So that's on his part, right? And obviously, if the director wanted him to go a different route, we would have seen a different movie.
Absolutely.
And I think if that was the case, this movie would not be accepted as well as it is.
I don't think it would have made any release. I think it would have been one of those movies that ends up like vaulted, never see the light of day.
Right. I mean, if you look at the extended cut, there's still a lot of stuff that Luc Besson did put in, and we'll get to that why, in my opinion, and if you have yours, obviously you will share that, why he did that. But it's still, the movie itself never crosses that threshold. the movie itself focuses on technically three broken people. All right, you have Matilda, she's broken in her own right. She is in a family where she's not appreciated, she's not respected. She only is there to kind of take care of her little brother, right? And then you have Leon, who is just, his sole purpose in life is to be a cleaner, to execute whatever jobs he's taken by Tony. And then you have Steinfeld. Do I say his
Stansfield?
name?
Norman Stansfield.
Stansfield. So Gary Oldman character here, that's the guy who's obsessed with, I guess, his just madness. I mean, he takes what he wants and he does not care about repercussions. So all of them are broken, and at the end, the only one person gets fixed, which is very poetic and beautiful how that journey gets her there. And that's kind of my take on the arc of these characters. What do you think? What's your opinion of what is this movie about on a deeper level? Just from the perspective.
So watching this movie, I felt like I was watching two different types of movie through it. Like it's a movie that's 2 hours long, but I felt like I was watching two different types of movie that, and in a way they connect with each other. Okay. Now we got the story of, like you said, a broken girl who comes from a broken family. Their decisions cost them their lives, and she has no options other than to run to Jean Reno's character for safety, and there's a very there's one scene in the movie there, it's like a symbolism when Jean Reno opens the door for the first time. She's ringing the bells like, please help me, like save me. He opens the door and there is this white light that shines on her face. That moment right there, you automatically know it's like he is saving her, but not in the saving her way that I'm just gonna open the door and wait till the bad guys go and then you're on your own. From that point on, in that movie starts a different story of this man that, like you said, emotionally detached, mentally slow. Because you learn later on in the movie that he can't read or write. He's just gone by life, just doing jobs for Tony and living his life. You get introduced to this character's simple life. He lives a very simple life. This man executes his job for the mob, and after that he buys 2 cartons of milk, goes to his little apartment where he has nothing other than a bed,
which he doesn't sleep in,
a bed that he doesn't sleep in. He uses to work out with, a couple of chairs where he sleeps in. He sleeps with glasses on and a gun in his hand because he's always ready to take whoever comes through that door. And he has this little plan that throughout the entire movie, you see that he doesn't go anywhere with this plan. And again, that plan again has another symbolism. So throughout this movie, he's taking care of this plant, watering. He even teaches her to take care of this plant. And we see a teacher and a pupil scenario where he is teaching her how to become a hitman, and she is teaching him how to read and how to write, and in a way show him that there is more to life than just killing. So those are those two characters. Then you have Gary Oldman's character, like you said, a man that has so much power that he becomes mad about it. It's madness. It's just pure madness. So mad that every time he takes this pill, which is a narcotic that is actually in real life treated for like serious like mental illness, he takes this pill and he needs to distort his entire back and neck for him to be able to crush the pill and take it without drinking any water whatsoever. That's the level of madness this character is already showing you, and he does that like within a couple of minutes after he gets introduced. And it's so funny because you only see the Gary Oldman character like in different times in the movie, but he's not the main focus of this entire movie. You know, the story is driven by Jean Reno's and Natalie Portman's character. And that's one movie that I'm watching. And then you have the other movie where these two characters are connecting with Gary Oldman. And that's why I say that there's two movies in this one movie.
I'll even up the ante one. I think the one movie which you described is the idea that Luc Besson had when he introduced Victor as a cleaner in La Femme and Nikita. He said, this is the story about the guy who is doing hits for the living. And then the other story that he tried to introduce his personal life into the characters and explain his life choices through his work. A lot of artists try to do that, and this is no exception. I guess we're kind of like already a little bit deeper into the MovieByte podcast, where we can start taking a little bit harder bites at this. And let's just give our listeners and viewers the part of Luc Besson's personal life. I mean, it's not private. It's everywhere you want to look at it. So the name I'm gonna try to pronounce it correctly. The girl goes by the name Maven. Her real name is Maven Labesco.
Labesco. She's the one that plays the blonde prostitute.
The blonde babe.
Of the movie.
The blonde babe. She's described.
The blonde babe, but yes.
So she is actually in this timeline, she is still a wife of Luc Besson. They got introduced to each other. He met her when she was 12. So there's your one similarity. They started dating when she was 15, and that was in January 1993. And at the age of they started dating when she was 15, and in January of 1993, when she was 16, she gave birth to their daughter, Shauna. All right, so this is kind of grain of salt you have to take in order to understand the second movie you just talked about. And I believe that the plan for this movie is to, I don't know, create, and again, this is obviously my speculations on this part, but that whole story is written because he's trying to explain maybe his actions, maybe his desires, maybe
like justify that what he's doing is
right.
Yeah.
Or I mean, justify if it's right or wrong. I mean, everybody has always
or maybe maybe seeing if society will accept this. Maybe if I can put it on film, society can be like,
right. Woody Allen did that. But the other guy, Polanski.
Roman Polanski didn't do something like that too.
Yeah. Everybody, and I'm sure in if we go and dig deeper, if anybody wants to,
we can probably make a whole documentary, like a series of podcasts of just talking how deep the Hollywood industry can go.
We let's not go there, but for the sake of this storyline, and we have to be honest to each other, and the movie which I will defend as the artwork, I also can tell you on the other side, this is what actually happened and how I view it.
Yeah.
And my opinion on all of that, I just don't understand. How can 29-year-old see anything in a 12-year-old? I just don't. And then how the 32-year-old can impregnate a 15-year-old. I mean, I understand how physically they can do that. But I'm just not sold on the concept of. Anyway, so that's my I want to say, push back towards this whole story. But what I will say in defense of Natalie Portman and Jean Reno, that they took that and they made it into a fun on-screen portrayal of that relationship. When she tries to, based on the script, come with any kind of sexual advance to Jean Reno, to Léon character, you see he's not there. He does not register that it's you as a viewer see that is an advance, and she can't sell it because she does not understand what she's doing. She's reading the lines, so it's very comical. It's very naive. It's very what maybe somebody in that age, and that's the thing that you can see, that somebody in that age, they do not comprehend the complexity. They may know something, they may not. So if the older person in the relationship does not take advantage, does not push that line through, then nothing happens. And that's exactly what we see in the movie, right?
Yeah, it's portrayed like a little girl's crush, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And like I'll be the first one to admit, when I was young, when I was 11, 12, 13, I don't remember exact presence of mine, but I remember I had a crush on my Russian literature teacher. But like, to this day, I don't understand if I had a crush, because she had two German shepherds who and I love dogs, and I just wanted to hang out with dogs because my mom would not let me to have dogs or cats for that matter. She allowed me to have fish, but so the story about that is, like, I mean, she gave me an aquarium and she gave me these few fishes. I mean, they had 4 at the beginning, or 8, I don't remember. But you had to clean the aquarium, you had to feed them. Yeah. And I don't have time for that. I wanted to play with the dogs or cats, and at least they like you can somehow human connection. So I obviously, and she said, I'm not going to do anything. And if you fail the test, obviously you're never going to grow up and evolve to having some other pet. I'm going to get to the point, boys and girls. Long story short. So anyway, the aquarium filled with nasty green stuff because I did not change, and all the algae grew up, and it was just this disaster. Then at some point, the fish started doing fish Olympics and jumping out of the thing, and during the sunny days, and I found some of them in the battery, all like dried up, and then they did not feed them, so they become cannibals, and they started eating. Like at some point, there was the one fish giving birth and another one eating it. And yes, I know the most of the fish, come out of the fish eggs, but these were different fish. Anyway, so at that point, the fish are out of the equation, and then I see my teacher, who lives across from my apartment in the next building, and she has these 2 beautiful German shepherds, and she goes for the walk. So I'm like, hey, I forgot her name, but I was like, hey, can I tag along? She's like, sure. And then week after week, month after month, we're hanging out while she walks the dogs, and obviously I start kind of thinking of like having a crush. I mean, I don't remember what I was thinking. I did not have we did not have internet there and dirty magazines, so there was nothing that you can think about just by that projection. And that's why, like, when we looked at the movie, on Hulu, Teacher, that's the thing. It's kind of has the same premises, but it just did not work for me. It did not work at all. And going back to this story, that whole relationship is played from father perspective and friend perspective. And on her behalf, she does not understand what she's feeling. Right? She never felt love on her side of the family. The only person who really, I guess, gave her any kind of
affection or love was her little brother.
Right. So therefore, she does not understand. So that's her arc of trying to group or compartmentalize her feelings.
Because she now has someone that unexpectedly is helping her, so she assimilates that with love. I have this older figure, this adult that's actually showing me caring and nurturing, and I can see how she confuses the character. Will confuse that as a 12-year-old. That, oh, this is love. This must be what love is.
Right.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And all the advances that happen through the movie in any form or shape is completely shut down by beautifully done by
Classic
Jean Reno.
spit the milk.
Yeah, like he's like, are you crazy? Like, I don't. And the vulnerability is there from him, and his whatever capacity he portraying on his intellectual level, on his emotional level, he still knows right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's the ironic part which played out on Luc Besson and Maven later saying that this story is about me. That we do not see it like as close. If you start making connections, yeah, it's there. It's on the script. It's on the paper. But these two characters did not deliver that aspect.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what makes this movie so beautiful and so powerful is that there's one thing that you write on a script, but how I'm going to deliver those lines, how I'm going to play these characters can completely and absolutely flip the script 180 degrees and deliver one of the best movies.
And that's how you just get great actors, because it's just, like you said, it's just a difficult role, and maybe someone would have tried to play it exactly how the script said it was supposed to be played, and it would be a different movie.
I think Hayden Christensen, he got the hold of the script and then he decided that that's the way I'm gonna go, and that's what you get from
he probably saw it on Natalie Portman's trailer as a little.
I mean, I don't know what was, because every time I see that scene in the Clone Wars, it's straight up cringe, right?
It is. Yeah.
And so that's how it's supposed to be, and this is how it played out, and that's just my
maybe Natalie Portman gave Hayden and said, "Hey, I think you should play Anakin this way. Read this,
right?
And read the director's notes. Play
exactly
like that."
And that's the thing. If you read the script and then you see what's portrayed on the screen, it's completely different story. Yeah. And the design that Luc Besson put in there, and I guess at the end, obviously the American version was cut way shorter.
Drastically. I think the American version has like 20-30 minutes cut.
Right.
Yeah, I think the American version is like an hour and 40 minutes long.
And from the first viewing, any advance from Mathilda towards Léon was laughed at, which, I mean, whatever way you look at it, when they played the characters, it's not a
laugh that like, oh shit, this is funny. It's a laugh that I'm like, this is uncomfortable, and
right.
The only way I can make myself feel good if I just laugh about it.
Right. It's
like a defense mechanism. Like, let me laugh at this awkward situation because we have a 12-year-old girl making advances on a 29-year-old man in this movie.
And it's not happening. All right, so I guess if we got that out of the way, I mean, we can move on. We can pass on. Or is there anything we can add to?
I mean, now, like, since we're still in that subject, you think this movie would have been made?
No.
In this era?
No. Hell no.
I agree.
No, like, and one thing I just want to throw in, and me and you already talked about this. Directors, scriptwriters, in my personal opinion, are not taking risks anymore, or they're not being green-lighted when they take risks. And therefore, the last movie, which we discussed in person, was The Little Things, which is at best mediocre. Like, at best, if you trying to pull the hat down, it's maybe 6.5.
They're playing it safe.
Right, but at least the script, it gives some kind of variation of not new idea, but some kind of life where it does not end up as every other story would end up, right? So to me, I'm just praying and I'm looking forward to see something with the depth and with some kind of challenge, with something that is thrown at the viewers, and they're like, "Oh, I was not expecting this." I was prepared for something different.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Well, let's be optimistic. 2021.
You know that Natalie Portman in a 2018 interview, when they asked her about this movie, because obviously it's her first movie, motion picture debut. Before the Me Too movement started and everybody started to come out with like allegations against all these producers and directors, right? And the women taking a stand. They brought up to Natalie Portman the subject of the professional. So, hey, what is your view of the movie now that we have these movements going on, all these actresses coming out, like speaking out on behalf of everybody that has gone through some sort of sexual misconduct or abuse? And Natalie Portman says in the interview that she hates how her character is sexualized in the entire movie. And when I was watching this movie, I at some point felt uncomfortable because there's a 12-year-old girl in the bed, like rubbing her stomach, but in a sexual way, like how the camera does the close-up of her hands, like touching, like when she says, "I'm in love with you." I forgot the Jean Reno's character's name.
Leon.
This is the title of the fucking movie.
It's okay. You're very passionate about what you're saying.
Yeah, "I'm in love with you, Leon." And he goes like, how do you know that? And she's like, "I can feel it in my stomach." And it's just how the camera just closes up into her stomach and just shows her hands. Like, this is the kind of stuff that you will shoot someone that's 18 years or older, and a consenting adult. Obviously, this movie was filmed with her parents on set because she's a minor, and labor laws prevent you from shooting any sort of film without legal guardian or parents in the set. But still, it's now that you watch it, there's certain scenes in the movie that I felt uncomfortable watching because it is sexualizing a 12-year-old girl at that time. It's how the camera shoots that thing. Because if you just maybe shoot that scene in a different angle, it doesn't look as sexualized as you see in the movie.
I mean, I'm gonna disagree. I'm gonna go out of limb and disagree. If you think that that's sexualizing, I think that's just how you perceive things. And I mean, I see what you're saying, and you're playing it on the safe side, and I'm more than welcome to agree to disagree. It's, to me, that everything what we said before, right? That's how he saw this happening. Whoever was doing, I don't know who was the director of photography, whoever was behind the cameraman, that's their take. Okay. And when you see the final product, it's how you take it. Like, if you want it to be sexualized, you're going to take it as sexual, and nothing wrong with that. Right. But again, it's,
and again, like,
I mean, I see your point, and this is like, now it's uncomfortable between.
Yeah. And again, this is a 1994 movie. No, this was it. I mean, made in an era like we look past, and now it's an era where it was in a way allowed, But like we said earlier,
that's another thing. Like, I'm fucking tired of people defending the past. Like the crazy shit about tweets like made in 2012. Now we're gonna go and you have to apologize for what you said. Times change, absolutely. Like, whatever was normal back then, nobody thought twice about that. People cut and put it out there. But if you wanna go, and we're gonna go and take whatever that Netflix stupid movie that they made, I don't even know the name of it. about
Cuties. Yeah,
whatever. Like I never seen it, never gone into, but from what my understanding is that's fucked up. All right. So if one scene makes you uncomfortable, I understand that. I'm with you on that one. Like I respect what you see. It does not make me uncomfortable because she took the role, she read the script, she knew where she's going. Her parents were, as you said, were on there for 24/7. If that camera, and I know exactly the scene you're talking about, if that's how you see that scene, that's how you see that scene, right? I'm just saying.
I'm just saying it should have been shot differently. Not how it was shot.
Well, if we're gonna go should have, then this movie should never be made.
What she has on her stomach should not be filmed like with sexual innuendo.
Okay, all right. Who is adding the sexual innuendo?
The camera is adding the sexual innuendo because you see there is sexual innuendo the entire movie.
You see the stomach and the hands.
That's enough to insinuate sexual innuendo.
Jesus Christ!
Why were you a 12-year-old girl be describing butterfly in her stomach, rubbing her entire stomach, and the way the camera shot? I'm not saying that the script, like, yes, maybe it was written like that in the script, and yes, Natalie Portman did a fantastic job doing it. The director of photography should have shot that scene differently.
Okay,
that's my point.
Okay,
that's my point.
Whatever. I'm gonna leave it at that. And I'm just gonna move on from that.
Let's move on.
This was the most discussed
the entire movie. This is the one thing that was bugging me every time I saw it.
All right, okay,
let's move on.
Maybe
other than that, the movie is it's a great film. You know, it may have its topics where people may see it differently and different point of views, and it depends on how you see those subjects and those topics. But in overall, the movie has a legacy. It has influenced other movies. You know, this movie went on to influence films like Kiss of the Dragon. You know, Romeo Must Die. You know, it just introduced to like the audience to this action French cinema, and then introduced the world to Luc Besson. Luc Besson. You know,
Natalie Portman. Jean Reno.
Natalie Portman and Jean Reno, and obviously Gary Oldman just kept climbing after that movie. So it has a legacy, you know, and it's not on IMDb's top 100 movies watch list, which we have a poster, and you can see his poster in the background. The movie's there, and you get to scratch it off when you watch it. There's a reason why it's there, and it's because it's an amazing film. I think it's the story, despite whatever it has on it. It's a beautiful story. Okay, it's a beautiful story
about friendship. It's about loyalty. It's about growing pains. It's about understanding who you are, what you stand for, and sacrificing what you used to be. Because Léon sacrifices himself to kind of save Mathilda, and he sacrifices not at the end when he blows up that grenade. He sacrifices when he opens the door. You said it perfectly. When he opens the door and that light shines, and you said it, that light shined on her. It
shines on him at the end too.
Right, yeah. But even at the same time, I can argue that when he opens that door, that the angel enters his world, right? Because he had the gloomy future ahead of him if he continued the path he was set on. Kill, grab milk, sleep in a chair, repeat. Her life was pretty much
more complicated than his.
Well, yeah, but she's smoking, she's lying, she's confused, she's not what you want a 12-year-old to be.
Yeah.
To behave in proper way, to have manners, to understand the values. And even though through this silliness of her, because he gives her what he only can, the training of being an assassin, even though obviously it's fake bullets. When the funniest part
can we use real bullets?
Use the real ones, right? It delivers. It has those warm moments, and yes, it brings these heavy moments with it, and it makes you ask the fucking questions, and that's what beauty about it. No matter how gruesome the art may be, however you view it, if it brings the questions which you ask and answer for yourself, and that makes you a different human being when you were before you entered this experience, right? So overall, it's phenomenal piece of work, and we didn't even touch the music aspect of it. The soundtrack to this is incredible. It has the French tones, it has the Italian tones. It brings that like, honestly, when I listen to the soundtrack, I see New York, and you live there. You see all the genres, all the mixes. To me, that's 90s, like early 90s New York. It has that vibe, and the whole movie has that vibe. Even though majority of the stuff was shot in Paris,
France,
to me, it's still a movie about New York. You see the skyscrapers, you see those streets, you see everybody who don't give a fuck.
It's a New York story. Yeah, I see.
Nobody gives a fuck about these characters. Nobody gives a fuck about Leon. He's invincible. Nobody sees him. He just walks down. He does his routines. He's bleeding. Nobody pays attention. Matilda, nobody cares about her. She's on the street corner smoking cigarettes. Some crackhead comes to her. Hey, you want to do some blow, whatever the fuck he offers her. Nobody gives a fuck. And you have Stanfield, who obviously is doing the murder spree in the middle of the day, when the old lady comes out and he tells her, "Ma'am, go back."
Yeah,
he told you to go back, and nobody pays attention to him. And that's the story of how nobody pays attention to anybody, where two people of complete opposites found each other, made a connection, made each other better. And Leon dies with purpose. Matilda lives with purpose. That's the whole beauty of this tragedy with the ending. Okay,
you put the right word there. Tragedy. This is what this movie is. It's a classic tragedy. It's like watching a William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. You know these characters are going to end up, one of them, hurt or dead. You just know. You got the feeling. You just don't know who. And that's the beauty of this. Because you think you're rooting for him, but you at the same time, you know, like, hey, what he does for a living,
he's gonna catch up with you.
He's gonna catch up with him, and you see through the movie, and we're gonna start wrapping up. But one thing I noticed in the movie, when he meets her, he starts losing focus on his job. He starts getting hurt. He starts getting shot.
Right, because he starts questioning what he's doing. Before he was a machine. He was meticulous. He was on point. But then it starts breaking him. Sooner
he starts getting sloppy because he's distracted. Right. And he even tells her in the movie, like, ever since I met you, I can't think straight.
Yep.
No, he's not himself anymore.
But she breaks the cycle. She breaks his routine, his monogamy, his straightforward way of moving and thinking and doing things. One of the favorite scenes also in the movie is after everything is said and done, Matilda comes to Tony and says, "Hey, listen, I'm going to be a cleaner. Give me a contract. Give me a job." And he looks at her and says, "It's fucking over. Leon is dead."
Yeah.
And that's the grounding. And she breaks into
That's
tears.
Like the reality check.
Right. That's the closing the curtain. This is that Shakespearean pulling out your guts and delivering to you, "Hey, look, this is what you've done. Your actions made this happen. If you would have never knocked on that door, none of this would have happened. But we're glad it happened because he's not mad at her." Tony at the end understands what Leon was, and he could not help him, so all he could is just to provide him safe way of, as much as you can say safe about the hitman, but he provided him the stability that Leon needed, the structure in his life. And when that was gone, and technically Matilda took that away, so probably took Tony's best employee, he's not mad at her. he's not angry. He's angry at that she does not get the point.
Mm-hmm.
That this is done, this is over, and we're moving on.
It's time to move on. Yeah.
And the beauty of that, she leaves the tree in the park, you know, the plant that Leon was so cared so much about, that she leaves it to make roots, and then she goes and probably hopefully makes roots for herself and grows from there. And that's what movie is about. That's how this is involved. The few things I just want to make sure that I kind of like give the tribute. The guy actually who plays one of the henchmen, I believe his name is Keith Glasgow. He played Benny. It's the guy who is like with the gun outside of the door. That was his only role, and afterwards he became a firefighter. And he sacrificed himself to save lives in 9/11. So, you know, that is always going to be remembered. And sometimes you choose different profession. So, yep, that's. You maybe play a villain in the movie, but you become a true hero in a real life. And we can say something opposite about the director, but maybe we won't.
So, all right. I think that's it. I think that's everything we have for this movie.
You think there ever going to be a sequel? Everybody keeps asking about the sequel.
No, they're not. The story they used for the sequel, they made Colombiana for it.
Did they really?
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Ouch.
Yeah. So Colombiana was the story that was going to be used for the sequel for The Professional with Natalie Portman, but it never happened. So Luc Besson decided to just sell it to the studio and make Colombiana with Zoe Saldana. So that's a little fun fact there. All right. So we're going to wrap it up. This was fun. So again, if you haven't had the chance to watch Léon the Professional, you should be able to buy it or rent it on any digital platform. It's not available to stream on any streaming platform at the moment, so I would probably just recommend renting it or buying it.
I'm sure if you're watching it on YouTube, down below there will be probably the rent to buy option. They should start paying us start paying us money for this.
But it's a good movie to own, and if you're a collector, it's definitely a good movie to own. And watch the extended cut. That was the cut that was meant to be seen by the director, and then watch the theatrical so you can compare on the reasons why some scenes didn't make it. So next week we're going to be discussing what's next week's movie, Alec.
I believe we're doing Ex Machina.
Ex Machina, Alex Garland's written and directorial debut. Ex Machina with Alicia Vikander, Dominic Gleeson, and Oscar Isaac.
And we delved into the human psyche today. We're gonna be jumping into artificial intelligence on the next one, so
it's gonna be fun. So Ex Machina for next week, and then this week we just discussed Léon the Professional. That's a wrap. Thank you all for tuning in and listening. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you, everybody.